One thing I can do by myself is build Lego sets.
Swing on the swings, I can jump on the trampoline.
I can sleep in my own bed all by myself.
Throw a football. I can take care of my dog. I can clean up by myself when my mom asks me to. I can shoot a BB gun. I can get dressed all by myself. I can count to 10 in Chinese. I can ride my bike.
Something that's hard to do all by myself is do a flip and landing on my feet.
Building beds is tough stuff. A back handspring is very hard to do. I cannot lift up any of these bags. And it's hard doing gymnastics too. If I had to mow the lawn, I would ask my dad to help.
I think I may need to ask for help every day, like maybe 2 or 3 times a day.
That's a lot. No, I don't really like asking for help.
Sometimes I like asking for help, and sometimes I don't.
When I need help, I ask my siblings to help. My mom helps me tie my shoe. My mom, my dad, and a teacher. My mom is the best person I know for solving problems. Dad's the best at solving problems. Mom, Dad, and sometimes Jesus. My dad can help this much, but God can help this much. God is definitely better than me solving problems.
God is the best at solving problems. God can help you with whatever problem you have.
When something is going to be really hard and I know it, I ask him for help and he'll help me. God helps me solve my problems. If I had a problem, I would say, God, I need your help. May you please help me? I need help. I would probably go somewhere private and I would say, Lord, please help me to do this.
He says, I can help you get through it.
I'll help you.
You can trust me.
I will help you go through this.
The last words I remember hearing before I descended into the water were, "You're going to regret it." You know, I waved away the warning without even turning around. I mean, what was to regret? Everyone else was taking the long way. I was going to take a shortcut. Let all the other sheep walk all the way around the little lake to take the bridge, but I was just going to walk across the lake. After all, it was just a little pond. I've been to creeks in California and rivers in El Salvador and oceans in Florida. And water's water, right? Wrong, my newfound Arizona friends tried to warn me. They were taking me to a picnic. It was a welcome to Arizona party organized by the International Club at the school where I was a freshman. The tables were set on this little island in the center of the pond in a park. Now, the Parks Department had kindly built a bridge by which pedestrians could pass over the water, but the bridge was narrow and the line was long, and I was hungry. I was fresh to college, eager to impress, and unafraid at the sight of a few yards of water. "I'll just wade across," I said. Someone pointed to the sign, "Lake water not recommended for recreation." But I wouldn't be slowed by a warning, so I ventured in. And immediately the mud swallowed my feet. The water was murky, smelly, and home to a million mosquitoes. Squiggly things swam past me. Scaly things brushed up against me. And I actually think I saw a set of eyeballs peering in my direction through the water. So I backpedaled. But both flip-flops were sucked into the abyss with a big gulp, never to be seen again. And so I exited the water, mud-covered, mosquito-bitten, and red-faced. I then walked over the bridge with the rest of the people and took my seat at a picnic table. Everyone enjoyed the picnic. I pretended to. But how could I? I sat there covered in dried mud with itchy mosquito welts and a heart full of humiliation. It made for a miserable picnic. but it makes for an appropriate proverb. Because how often do we step into the muck and mire of difficulties because we insisted we were going to do things our way? All I needed to do was apologize, but I had to argue. All I needed to do was to listen, but I had to open my big mouth. All I needed to do was be patient, but I had to take control. All I had to do was give it to God, but I tried to fix it myself. Why don't we just obey the warnings? Why don't we just follow the signs and instructions? Why are we so stubborn, insistent, and self-reliant? I don't need anyone's advice, splash. I can handle it, squish. I don't need a shepherd, thank you, gulp. Can you relate? Am I and Frank Sinatra the only ones to make an anthem out of "And did it my way"? Are we the only two dragging around the giant suitcase of independence? I doubt it. See, we humans want to do things our way. Forget the easy way, forget the common way, forget the best way, forget God's way. We want to do things our way. And according to the Bible, that's precisely our problem. It says, we have all wandered away like sheep. Each of us has gone his own way. As much as we don't want to admit this, but if we took an honest look at the way we live our lives, we might find, more often than not, find ourselves cutting through the water rather than taking the bridge. We might find we have a lot in common with, well, sheep.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Of all God's animals, the sheep is the least able to take care of himself. Sheep are dumb. I mean, have you ever met a sheep trainer? Have you ever seen sheep tricks? Has anyone ever taught a sheep to sit, to beg, or to roll over? Have you ever witnessed a circus sideshow featuring Mazadon and his jumping sheep? No, because sheep are just too dumb. They're also distracted. They've been known to wander into running creeks of water or ride off of cliffs to their deaths. They stray from the flock, not out of rebellion, but because they're so focused on what's in front of them that they become clueless about their surroundings. They're focused on the next clump of grass, and then the next, and the next. And suddenly they find themselves far away from where they're supposed to be. Sheep need someone to guide them. They need a shepherd to lead them to calm waters. Thirdly, sheep are defenseless. They have no fangs or claws. They can't bite you or outrun you. They're helpless. Sheep need a shepherd with a rod and a staff to protect them. That's why you never see a sheep as a team mascot. I mean, we've seen the St. Louis Rams. We know the Chicago Bulls. We've heard of the Seattle Seahawks. But the New York City Lambs? Who wants to be a lamb? You can't even strip a decent yell for the cheerleaders. We are the sheep. We don't make a peep. Victories is yours to keep, but count us if you want to sleep. What's more, sheep are dirty. A cat can clean itself, so can a dog. We see birds in bird baths and bears in rivers. But sheep, they get dirty and they stay that way. They've been known to pick up so much garbage and sticks in their wool that they actually become lopsided and are unable to keep their balance. So sheep are dumb, distracted, defenseless, dirty. Man, couldn't David thought of a better metaphor for us? Surely he could have. I mean, after all, he outran Saul. He outgunned Goliath. Why didn't he choose something to compare us to rather than sheep? How about, the Lord is my commander-in-chief and I am his warrior? That's better. Because a warrior gets a uniform and a weapon and maybe even a medal. Or how about, the Lord is my inspiration and I am his singer? We are God's choir. What a flattering assignment. Or, the Lord is my king and I am his ambassador. Who wouldn't want to be the spokesperson for God? Everyone stops when the ambassador speaks. Everyone listens when God's minstrel sings. Everyone applauds when God's warrior passes. But who notices when God's sheep show up? Who notices when the sheep sing or speak or act? Well, only one person notices, and that's the shepherd. And that is precisely David's point. When David, who was a warrior, a minstrel, and an ambassador for God, when David searched for an illustration for our Lord, he remembered his days as a shepherd. He remembered how he lavished attention on the sheep day and night, how he slept with them and watched over them, and the way he cared for his sheep reminded him of the way God cares for us. So it's with great joy that David says, the Lord is my shepherd. And in so doing, he proudly implies, and I am his sheep. And indirectly, he's admitting, I'm dumb, distracted, defenseless, and dirty. In other words, I need someone to take care of me, to protect me, to watch over me, and to guide me. You don't like being considered a sheep? Are you a little uncomfortable with this comparison? Well, then humor me. Let's take a simple quiz, okay? See if you struggle with the suitcase of self-reliance and independence. Raise your hand if any of the following describes you. You can control your moods. You're never grumpy or sullen. You can't relate to Jekyll and Hyde. You're always upbeat and upright. Does that describe you? No? Well, let's try another. You are at peace with everyone. Every relationship is as sweet as fudge. Even your old flames, they speak highly of you. You love all and are loved by all. Is that you? If not, well, how about this description? You have no fears. Call you Teflon Tuffy. Wall Street plummets? No problem. Heart condition discovered? Yawn. World War III starts? Watch for dinner, honey. Does that describe you? You need no forgiveness. You've never made a mistake. As square as a game of checkers, as clean as grandma's kitchen. You've never cheated, never lied about cheating. Is that you? No? So let's evaluate this. You can't control your moods. A few of your relationships are shaky. You have fears and faults. Do you really want to hang on to that suitcase of self-reliance? Sounds to me like you could use a shepherd. Otherwise, you might end up with the 23rd Psalm sounding something like this. I am my own shepherd. I am always in need. I stumble from mall to mall and shrink to shrink, seeking relief, but never finding it. I creep through the valley of the shadow of death and fall apart. I fear everything from pesticides to power lines, and I'm starting to act just like my mother. I go to weekly staff meetings and am surrounded by enemies. I go home and even my goldfish scowls at me. I anoint my head with extra strength Tylenol. My Jack Daniels runneth over. Surely misery and misfortune will follow me, and I will live in self-doubt for the rest of my lonely life. Is that the way you read this psalm? I sure hope not. But why is it that those who most need a shepherd resist him so? That's a good question for those who refuse to follow the bridge and instead to wade through and across the pond on their own. Those who insist on living life their own way. Those who refuse to listen to reason, to obey the signs, to follow the path, to follow the lead of the shepherd. You see, to say the Lord is my shepherd is to say I need someone to guide me, someone to lead me, someone to watch over me, someone to show me the way. It's to admit that I can't do it on my own. To say the Lord is my shepherd is to say he is my Lord, the one that I follow, the one that I obey, the one that I submit to because he knows what's best and he is able to protect me because he loves me and he wants the best for me. But to surrender to his lordship, to his authority, to his will is something I have to do voluntarily, do it on my own. To surrender my independence, to let go of the suitcase of self-reliance is something that I need to choose to do daily. It's not something he's going to force me to do, but rather he invites me. He doesn't force me, but asks me. So notice David says, the Lord is my shepherd. He doesn't say the Lord is my cowboy. You know, the cowboy. 1,000 head of cattle pass behind him. 1,000 miles of trails lie before him. 1,000 women would love to hold him, but none do. None will. He lives to drive cattle, and he drives cattle to live. He's honest at poker and quick with a gun, hard riding, slow talking. His best friend is his horse, and his strength is in his grit. He needs no one. He is a cowboy, the American hero. But the shepherd. On the surface, the shepherd appears similar to the cowboy. I mean, he too is rugged. He sleeps where the jackals howl and works where the wolves prowl. He's never off duty. He's always alert. Like the cowboy, he makes his roof the stars and the pasture his home. But that's where the similarities end. The shepherd loves his sheep. It's not that the cowboy doesn't appreciate the cow. It's just that he doesn't really know the animal. He doesn't even want to. I mean, have you ever seen a picture of a cowboy caressing a cow? Have you ever seen a shepherd caring for his sheep? So why the difference? Well, it's simple. The cowboy leads the cow to slaughter. The shepherd leads the sheep to be shorn. The cowboy wants the meat of the cow. The shepherd wants the wool of the sheep. And so they treat the animals differently. A cowboy drives cattle. The shepherd leads the sheep. A herd has a dozen cowboys. A flock has one shepherd. A cowboy wrestles and brands herds and ropes. The shepherd leads and guides, feeds, and anoints. The cowboy knows the name of the trail hands. The shepherd knows the name of the sheep. A cowboy whoops and hollers at the cows, but a shepherd calls each sheep by his name. Aren't we glad that Christ didn't call himself the good cowboy? But some perceive God in that way, as a hard-faced, square-jawed ranch hand from heaven who drives his church against its will to places it doesn't want to go. But that's the wrong image. Jesus calls himself the good shepherd, the shepherd who knows his sheep by name and lays his life down for them, a shepherd who protects and provides and possesses his sheep. No flock ever grazed without a shepherd, and no shepherd was ever off duty. When the sheep wandered, the shepherd found them. When they fell, he carried them. When they were hurt, he healed them. You and I, we need a shepherd. We don't need a cowboy to herd us. We need a shepherd to care for us, to guide us. He's not a cowboy, and we're not cattle. He doesn't brand us, and we're not on the way to market. He guides us, feeds us, and anoints us. And the word has it that he won't quit until we reach the homeland. He is the good shepherd, and he wants the best for us. He doesn't reign over us as Lord in a harsh, demanding way, but as a shepherd in a loving, caring way. You know, so often we read God's commandments and we hear them in this tone of, don't sin. But our good shepherd, who loves us, who knows us, who actually created us, he says, I know what's best for you. I know what will profit you. I know how to best care for you. I love you, and I gave my life for you. So don't sin. Don't go down that path. Don't live that way. I want for you green pastures and still waters. So follow me. Independence, self-reliance is a deceptively heavy burden to carry. Heavy enough to bring the strongest to their knees. But thankfully we have a good shepherd who knows what path is best for us. His way, where he leads us to green pastures and still waters and to the land of plenty. When our vision is blurry, he sees clearly. When our feet stumble, he's sure-footed. When we get lost, he leads the way. God, Yahweh, the good shepherd, is worthy of our trust. And he invites you to lighten your load. So what are you waiting for? Lay down your sleepless nights, your panic-induced headaches, your anxiety, your worry, every burden that you thought you could carry on your own. Stop trying to do it on your own, and let's start traveling light.
Remember Psalm 23. My Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall want no one. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters.
He restores my soul.
He leads me in paths of righteousness through...
He leads me in paths.
He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Finally!
There we go. Nailed it.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow and death.
Yea, though I walk through the shadow.
Don't walk through shadows.
I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. My cup falls over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the Lord of the house of forever. Can we just move on?